at the same time, you know, I used to mess with that dust a lot. You know what I'm saying? That was my thing after a while. You know what I mean? Like I started, you know, I told dudes that I used to clown dudes that used to smoke dust. Like, you can't be serious smoking that. You crazy, you bugging, like, you know? Yeah. And then one day I tried it.
Why did you try it?
I had just nothing else to do. I just was like, yo, what y'all smoking?
Bored. What point in your life is this happening? What's going on the day that you said, I'm gonna hit a dust blunt?
I would say this was probably like a little after the video had dropped. I was working on
what video?
No, excuse me. Yeah, I was still working on my album actually at the time. I was still working on my album. This was you figure like 2000. You know, about 2000. Like I was signed for about about a couple of years.
Did you receive one of those Jay jerking you contracts?
Nah.
No. It ain't,
my contract.
Loon already kind of disposed of that. Like, if you was on the diligence.
If you handle your business, you got what you needed.
Yeah. So, all right. So you're still working on your album, or you having writer's block?
Nah, I mean, I was still flowing with it, you know.
Right.
But it was just one of them things where I was so always out there. You know what I mean? Like I used to be sitting in my car writing rhymes on the block. You know what I'm saying? Posted up in the 1998 Volvo. You know what I'm saying? Sitting in just wild weed, smoking. Dudes knocking on the window. I'm like, dude, hold on, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm writing rhymes. You know what I'm saying? So, like I was just still out there. You know what I mean? So like, when I wound up just being in the mix of that whole thing. So I was like, yo, dudes smoking dust. I said, well, let me hit that. You know what I mean? Just to see what's all this about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because these dudes, people was going crazy for this stuff. I'm like, yo, y'all smoking dust? You know what I'm saying? And dudes was like, yeah. I'm like,
what was your first experience like?
I mean, well, I smoked it first with weed. You know what I mean? Right. So the dudes like put it in the weed, and it was like, yeah. So it was like I was stuck. I was like, I didn't really like it. You know what I mean? Because it was like I was too stuck. But when I tried it about a month or two later, by itself. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay. I could get with it. It was a whole nother trip. Like I actually started, I was tripping. Like I was like, yo, this
you wasn't like Chris Tucker and Friday though, right?
Nah,
right.
Nah. That's the whole thing. Like it was so regular to me. Like I used to just smoke it. Like it was like nothing. You know what I mean? Like it was just a high. You know what I'm saying? So that was that became like my drug of choice after a while, man. So here we are, 2003, 2004. My mind is just on a whole nother. I'm on Mars at this point, you know what I'm saying? And then it's showing in my rhymes, you know what I mean? And then, I was just on a whole nother type of time, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, hell yeah, man, I was on Molly every day. Oof. Well, listen, geeked up, fight down. Listen, I'm talking, bro, I felt like I couldn't do a show or a song without being on Molly.
When did that start? When did the habit start?
When the habit started, shit. On the road, when I first got the road, on the road, the $800 show, I ain't drink no liquor, no lean, no none of that. You know what I'm saying? Shit, after before some type of way, we was doing so many shows, I couldn't stay up. So I knew some people like, bro, I got something to keep you up. And motherfucker kept me up. And,
it was a machine after that.
If you don't mind, who said
that's where the babies was coming from.
If you don't mind, who said that to you? Who said they got something for you to keep you up? Was it somebody from the industry or one of your friends?
It's a family member.
Oh, a family member.
It's family. Yeah, it's family. I got something to keep you up.
Pop the Molly.
I'm sweating.
You sweating? Is this before you was rocking with Trinidad or?
Nah, this about the time. This about the same time. After like he said, I'm like, what the matter is? Let me see what they do. They ain't sweating for real. You know what I'm saying? Cause they gonna like, I'm telling you, like this being real. This around the time I started doing it.
Is what
you know what I mean? Cause I wasn't taking them at first. Then, I would take them out of bro them there every day, man. And I knew like my attitude was saying I'm bucking on my mama. You know what I'm saying? I ain't showing up to family events like.
Yeah.
I just
It's
the money
different.
because I felt like what I was like, mama, all right, mama, it's all good. I'm saying something. I'm saying like, it was a thought. I knew I was lost in the sauce. Like if I
Then
could,
when you coming down off the shit, it's like
yeah, like
you're like, I don't want to talk to anyone.
anyone, then you know, then I'm already got this cloud over my head.
You're like Smeagol coming down off that shit.
I went and bought black curtains all in the house. That's how I knew I was tripping, bro. I did
Bro.
not want the sun to come up, bro.
The facts.
I brought, it was black curtains
The
all
sun
in the
brought
house.
the shame.
Listen,
It did. It brought the shame, my nigga.
I was popping them off before I brushed my teeth, bro. Like that, I was starting my day. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you really supposed to eat, nigga. And I fuck that. I'm gonna take them out and then eat. You know what I'm saying? Because it makes you shit. You know what I mean?
Man,
you got to deal
listen,
with.
you can hear your brain
Listen, man.
sizzling.
But guess what though?
Sizzling.
I was making some dope ass music on it though. I can tell you that. That motherfucker had my brain
don't
going.
do
Yeah.
that.
I can't. I got to be honest.
No. Look.
But guess what though?
No. You might not.
Yeah, exactly. Because I
wanna
can tell
think
you
about
different.
that.
I already know you don't steal, you don't rock, so you don't know nothing about nobody.
The association of great musicians and drugs is not a new thing, bro.
At all.
No,
It's not a new thing.
That would never be what I would say, but I think about some of my favorites that I've lost to drugs.
Right.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know what I mean? So I don't, and I also see working with artists, I see when that becomes a crutch. I see when you start getting the guys who can't brush their teeth without doing something. They don't want to go on stage, they don't want to go in the studio. You're sitting there trying to work with them. They're like, let me just do this one more thing, and then I'm gonna come back in and work. And that shit just starts looking like a crutch. And it never,
becomes a crutch.
it never
Yeah.
ends. It
Yeah.
rarely ends well.
And then another thing I want to say, not to be long-winded, I want to commend you because I think a lot of artists don't talk about struggling with drugs.
Yeah,
right.
I keep that to the
and
forefront.
that's gangster for you to say, because I know it's artists right now that's gonna watch this that's struggling with drugs.
That's a fact.
And you're giving them the confidence to get over that shit.
You know what's funny?
I actually want to know what led you to going cold turkey.
What happened was, I was always. My father died when I was 4. My mother was a single mother. She was always out the house. I was always home alone, just doing whatever.
If you don't mind me asking,
both
what-
parents were drug addicts. Right?
Your father died
My
from-
father died from being a drug addict, having HIV.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? God, thank God,
Condolences.
me and my mother never had it.
Right.
So, growing up, at some point, I'm sure, being around my father for those beginning years, formative years, my mother, you just develop addict tendencies, you know what I'm saying? And I never was a person to smoke one blunt. That's why people ask me, yo, Nim, smoke? Nah, I don't smoke. Why? You can't just smoke? I'd be like, I could, but if I ain't do nothing for over 10 years, why the fuck am I gonna jinx it? So what led me to that is my whole family was addicts, and at some point, they all clean now, you know what I'm saying? And just running the streets. And at first it started with, I was selling ecstasy in Coney Island, and then I would just pop. We had to deal with Def Jam. I remember going to Def Jam like all out of it, fuck that up, you know what I'm saying? Then doing the Fight Club shit, it was every night. I would win money and go get high the whole night. And by the end of the Fight Club, when it was on MTV and I came out of jail, I was good for a couple months, and then I just I was dealing with Shady, with Riggs Morales at Shady, and they came to a point where they was like, yo, Nems, we love your music. We love your music. We want to sign you to a development deal, but everywhere we bring you, you're out of it, you're twisted, you're going in and out of jail, you're robbing people outside the studio, you're just more of a liability than an asset. They stopped returning my calls. At this point, I said, I had my shot. Fuck it, balls to the wall, like I'm a fiend now, you know what I'm saying? Fuck it. Started sleeping in staircases and the lifeguard chairs in Coney Island. All this time, I'm on MTV. Everybody thinks my shit is popping,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And I'm a bum. And I had I don't know, I tried a lot of shit. I went to rehabs, I went to detox, I went to church, people praying over me. None of that shit worked for me. One night, I remember it, I just had like a moment of clarity, or like a out-of-body experience where I was on like a month-long run, didn't sleep, was just getting high, stole a prescription pad from a doctor, was just writing myself scripts, selling them. So I was on a long run. Maybe it was like psychosis going on, I don't know, but I seen myself from the outside and I was just like, yo, I could keep going how I'm going and I'm gonna be dead very soon, or I'm gonna be in jail for the rest of my life, or I could stop everything right now and live my dreams.
You've talked about your addiction issues. I've never, the only presidential hopeful I've ever heard admit that he used any kind of barbiturate was Bill Clinton talking about smoking weed and he didn't inhale. But
I inhaled for sure.
And that's partly what I'm talking about. Like, you're very open about the fact that this is a part of your history. And before the interview really kicked off, you talked about having a hole in your soul that you felt like, shout out to Aerosmith, that you felt like you couldn't fill.
Yeah.
Is that what caused you to?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, you know, I've been going to 12-step meetings I've probably been to, 20,000 of them. So you hear people's stories, and there's a high percentage of people like me who believe they were born with the addiction. And then there's other people who think that they got it later on in life, that they crossed a line. And once you they say once you become if you're a cucumber, once you become a pickle, you can't become a cucumber again. My father died when I was 14. And by the time I was 15, I had never even tasted coffee. And that summer, I went to a party of the elder brother. This is when I was living in Cape Cod. The elder brother of a friend of mine had been drafted and was going to Vietnam. And there was a going away party for him. And he didn't want to go. And at the party, there was a melee, and he ended up hitting a cop and going to jail. And he didn't go to Vietnam. But I was hitchhiking home from that party, and an older boy picked me up, who I knew, but not well. And he offered me LSD. And LSD had come to that town that night. This was in 1969. So, and I wouldn't have taken it, but there was a comic book. We read, there was a little store, the only store in our town was a news store. It sold ice cream, candy, and then the comics. And the comics would come every Tuesday. And my favorite comic was a comic called Turok, Son of Stone, which was about these two Indians. There was an episode where the Indians had eaten like peyote or something, and they had hallucinations. They'd seen dinosaurs. It was like they had gotten transported back in time. And so when this guy offered it to me, I said, I had an interest in paleontology when I was little. And I said, if I eat that, will I see dinosaurs? And he said, you might. And so I took it.
Right.
And I had this, incredibly vivid hallucinations. And then in the morning, it lasted all night. And, and I got in trouble. A lot of people in the town took it that night. And I was walking home from the town about 3 miles in the morning, but I was crashing on the drug, and I was getting depressed and remorseful and telling myself, I'm never going to do this again. I did something that was wrong. And I got near and I had to go home and face the music because I had violated my curfew, and my mother was, invented tough love, and I was going to get in a lot of trouble. And I saw these boys in the woods, and I went in to see what they were doing, and I told them, and they saw me, and I said, I'm really crashing on this stuff. And they said, try some of this. And I've been saying to myself, I'm never going to take a drug again. And they offered me a line of crystal meth. And I snorted it, and I felt great. And that was really the template for my addiction for the next 14 years.
We all abuse or are addicted to certain things. You got people addicted to making money. And it obsesses them. That's a drug.
Right.
Fame is a drug. Fame is a drug. Porn is a drug.
Absolutely.
It's a drug.
Porn is a drug. A very
Sugar
dangerous one.
is a drug. Sugar. My mom's is addicted to sugar. I'm addicted. Sugar's a drug. I'm addicted to porn. I stopped, but there's times I go crazy with it. So
What's going crazy with?
watch it. Like me, if I watch more than 20 minutes, it feels like I watch for the whole day.
He's a content nigga.
I watched the whole day.
Of porn?
It's
A whole day of porn.
Word?
Yeah,
I never did that.
Porn is really bad. You know what I'm saying?
I can get. I never did a whole damn porn.
Nigga, I put laptops on bitches' backs.
Oh yeah, well.
Pornhub. Alright.
Let's go.
Don't move.
Don't move.
Don't move.
Don't move.
Because otherwise it just wasn't happening. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
An unfortunate thing. Porn definitely is that's just like the marijuana. It's the tool of the devil.
Yeah,
you know?
speed. There's some people that drive fast. Like, so, and they abuse, like.
Damn, he's describing all my shit right now.
I'm into all that shit. That's why I know.
Yeah, pedal to the metal. We doing a 130 or not?
So I think life is about that healthy moderation.
But I could say for me, it was, there were things that I did early on in my life that got me addicted to adrenaline. And that was the scary part. Robbing people, just the whole planning and pulling shit off and doing that shit on a consistent basis. After a while, it was like life was dull if I wasn't doing something like that. Like, I didn't feel nothing. The only time I felt something was in those moments. So I would constantly be chasing that feeling because when you do shit like that, the next day, it's like your eyes is different.
Mm-hmm.
You can see through everybody. Somebody will be talking to you and you'll just see through their whole shit.
Why? Because of the dirt you did the night before?
It's like the adrenaline made you different.
Gave you clarity.
It gave you clarity, bro, because you're mastering fear gives you adrenaline. Mastering fear. Why do you think people jump out of planes?
Hold on. I'm putting that on my post. Mastering
fear gives you adrenaline. So when you put yourself in scary situations,
I need that.
And you handle that shit, it's addictive. It's addictive, bro.
It's a fine line because you don't want to lose yourself. And what I'm gonna say is, I had a job when I was like 17, 18, working at the Port Authority. We was doing the most criminal shit in there. We took everybody's shit, robbed them in their face. Them Harlem niggas knew how to rob. They would flash you with it, whatever. So to go with the parallel what you saying, you started looking at shit like,
you sizing everything up.
And then what started happening, my family members is like, yo,
I don't feel comfortable around you.
This guy losing himself.
Yeah.
This Hoffa, trapper turned smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars, I can hang with the backpackers. Trap star, I don't hang with the backpackers. I'm in the hood with the work you heard. Making fiends leave earth you heard. Got your baby mama thirst you heard. Feel the flow, nigga, throw it in reverse. This the way you need to surf you heard.